Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to prune this large jade forest. I call this my misfit jade forest because I made it out of a bunch of sort of misfit singular jades and combined it into this forest. And you can see it's quite healthy. It's been growing right along. And today we are going to prune it up and bring it back into shape. As you can see, it's quite healthy. Let's take it for a spin. It's really grown out. And I created this forest last winter, and I just have let it grow. It actually grew quite well, even in the cold weather under lights. And so most of this is sort of winter growth. You can see big leaves, and it's really bushed out. And, you know, it's got, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 sets of leaves, and it's just quite out of control and kind of rough looking, and it needs to be cleaned up for sure. So as I look at this, I think some other things aside from pruning, I'll probably take off this wire. We don't really need that anymore. Probably get rid of these rocks. They don't really add anything to it, and a lot of them are just kind of shoved in there. So I don't think we need them anymore, and we may put in some new topsoil. And so there's a lot to do today on this hot Seattle summer day. So we will get to it. But before we do that, let's do a flyover. We'll kind of go up and take a look from the top down. And you can see, this looks much more like a jungle than a forest. It's quite thick. And it's hard to see the forest for the trees, as the saying goes. It's if I stick my hand in there, you can't even see it. So I definitely want to, I'll be really pruning this back hard, I think, today, and then allowing for more compact growth. Some forests you sort of want this kind of amorphous all-around shape. But let's take a zip through the jungle here, run through the jungle, and you can see how shady and dark it is. There could be who knows what lurking in there. We really need to get some sunlight in there. But as I was saying, some people may want a forest that's this kind of overall shape, and this may eventually evolve to that. But right now, we just have a lot of branches going the wrong way, and we really need to prune it back and continue growing it on. So where to start is often the question when you're pruning an overgrown forest. So I'd like to just take a look around. I tend to want to start with the primary tree and then move to the secondary tree and then the next tree. And, I find that's a good way to do it. Just take care of anything you notice as you're going along. And sometimes it's best to just jump right in. Like, I think this branch here is just going absolutely the wrong way, right into the main trunk. And so we're going to take that right out. And, same for some of these leaves. And a lot of these branches are just, overgrown. So, I'm probably going to end up cutting most of this back to, 2 or 3, maybe 1, 2, maybe on the off chance 3 sets of leaves, probably 2 at most, and just really get it back to the growth that it had put on, the individual plants had put on, in the fall, before I put them inside for the winter. That's going the wrong way. Prune that back to 2, because that's fairly tight growth, and then we'll get smaller leaves coming out from there, and I think it'll work out quite well. So this forest actually was created from, you can see it's got nice thick trunks, and it was created from large cuttings. I'm just going to simplify this back. And I've got a few videos on, how I've done that. But essentially, I will typically grow or buy an overly large jade, and in the process of, pruning that, I end up with a huge number of large cuttings such as this. And you can easily root those, and you've got fabulous material for forests. So I'm just going to thin back the top, move to the top now. The jades really grow aggressively on the top, right? And so you really want to kind of keep that back, or they'll quickly kind of put all their energy in there and just put out huge, long, strong branches, which might be what you want, but in this case I'm going for a much more delicate refinement. So basically, you know, I start by taking anything that's growing the wrong way out, and then I try to reduce it right down to the minimum set of leaves that make me question my sanity a little bit, because you really can't over prune these things. This thing will come back very quickly and grow a lot of new growth. And by continually cutting it back, you get really nice taper and curve and movement to the branches, as well as very small leaves, which is really what we're going for. So I'm really gonna reduce the top down here and try to get it down to just the basics, because as I said, this will grow out quite quickly. So we've done a pretty good job on this first main tree, you know, though you can see around it, it doesn't look like a main tree. So I'm gonna just get some of this low-hanging fruit on some of these little ones on the side, which are, you know, the idea of these was almost to look like a bush, right? So I want them to be very, very small. So I'm gonna really cut these little fellas back tremendously, and you know, they're kind of nice. Like, you do that and you'll get more branching and smaller leaves, and you know, they look quite charming. And honestly, these were almost cuttings when I put them in here, so it was good to let them stretch their legs a bit. And let's see, this one has really taken off. And I'm just applying the same principles, right? It's just kind of cutting it back to 2 sets of leaves, and then getting rid of anything that's going in the wrong direction, or, you know, kind of grabs your eye in a non-pleasing way, and just simplify it. You know, I kind of get it as simple as you want it, and then take it one step further is sort of my motto when I'm doing this, and that leads to good results later on, because the last thing you want to do is not cut enough and have all this new growth, which is no big deal, but you're probably going to end up cutting it all off and getting back to what you should have done in the first place. So, you know, just some advice on how to prune these things, but it's your tree, and if you like it to be a bushy looking tree, go for it. I mean, it's, you know, it's all in, you know, kind of what you like. But I kind of like to cut these back really hard and then just let them run a bit and just continue that. So that's pretty good. We've got the main tree and a couple of small ones, and kind of move on to this secondary tree. So you can see here with this tree to the left, one of these secondary trees, it's pretty congested in there. As I look kind of back through there, you know, I just see kind of a wall of green with these leaves, and so I kind of want to, you know, simplify that. I think for now, like, we may eventually end up, when this forest gets much more mature, it will probably look that way, but for now, you know, I don't want this immature crazy growth here, so I'm just going to cut it back. And sometimes it helps to just swing the tree around and get a real good look at what you're doing. But yeah, I want to create space here where we had this sort of green wall, and create kind of a negative space between these trees, so that in the end, when I'm done pruning, I can clearly see the shape of each individual tree, and you know, how they sit together as a forest, almost like when I first created it. I should mention too, like, this is the first major pruning of these things. I'm just clearing out this sets them back here to, like I said, just using the same principles and simplifying it down. But you know, often the first pruning is, you know, you do a lot, right? Because you've let it grow and get very vigorous and establish roots and get the plant super healthy. And that is a great time to go in and really kind of knock it back, to, you know, show the dream of where you want to take this, and you know, move the entire composition forward. I'm just trying to decide if I want to cut this off and just go with the leaves below it, or maybe cut the leaf on the right. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, you can just keep swinging it around, attack something else that needs to be done, and and then you can sort of come back to seeing that. And I think you'll also find as you simplify it, you see other things like this I don't like now, so I'm taking that out. So now I've really cleaned up that front tree, and this is going the wrong way. I sort of want this tree, eventually the main tree will kind of be having branches off to the left. And so I'll probably end up, like that area I was just pruning is, I'll probably end up taking maybe this entire branch off. But for now, I'll just thin it out and we'll evolve it. And, we can prune out main branches later when we get more ramification. And, it can also twist, turn the trees or reposition the forest in order to get the look you want. But yeah, and also, I don't think I mentioned this, but like if I cut this here, I'm gonna get a new branch coming off where each leaf is, and then the new branches that come off of that branch will be turned 90 degrees, right? And that's just how these grow. So I'll eventually do a more detailed video on that, but essentially what that allows you to do with jades is do a lot of directional pruning, because you know exactly where the new branches are coming, and they're extremely reliable in producing them, exactly where you cut, and you know which direction the new branches are going as well. So it makes it quite easy to work with. Yeah, so this left tree was quite overgrown actually, at least compared to the main tree. And I'm just spending some time here looking at it, let it sit with you a little bit, and decide how to cut it back, and definitely get rid of branches that you're never going to use, right? That's the easy thing. And then try to get it down to wherever you have 3 branches coming out from a space, reduce that down to 2. I'm just really going to cut this back pretty hard. And I'm trying to decide if I'm going to take this off all the way, and I think I am. This tree really has grown quite a bit, and I think I just need to take it all the way back and get some nice branching and ramification on it. I'm trying to decide if I want this to go out the back, and I don't think I do. Take that off, and that off. And you do some pruning. You don't have to do it all in one shot. I am, because I'm doing this video, but sometimes I'll take a little break and take that leaf off to just clear up that space. Take a little break, get a cold drink, play with the dog, just let it sit for a few minutes and then come back. And what I found is what you don't want to do is kind of rush through it, because that's when you tend to make cuts that you didn't want to, and it might be hard to recover from. I think we've pretty much reduced that one down to about all we can, and I think it looks fantastic. It really has the look of a nice chunky tree. Yeah, that last leaf really had to come off. So look, now you can see we have the main tree and we have the secondary tree, and they're in scale as you would expect. So let's move on to this big guy over to the right, which is perhaps the most overgrown in the forest. And I'm just going to start taking off that huge piece off the top, and just, this thing really grew in this area. So I'm chopping off big chunks here, and I'll swing it around so you can have a better look. And there's a fair amount of congestion between this tree and the tree in the back, so we will also have to deal with that. But let me just kind of just get this chopped back a bit so we can really see what we are dealing with here. Yeah, so my strategy with this one is I'm just basically taking it back to 2 sets of leaves automatically, sometimes one set, and then in order to see what we're dealing with, and then I will refine that and probably reduce some of those as well as we go. And I kind of started at the top because that was the thickest, and now I'm getting to the bottom and really just kind of applying those same ideas, and getting rid of, see, that leaf was sticking in the front. It really makes a huge difference, even just taking a leaf off, so that and I'm gonna take that one off too, so I can see, you can see the trunk, right, and see that, hey, this is a tree here. Yeah, I think I'm really gonna probably end up taking this down to 2 sets of leaves, pretty much all over, because it's just kind of, those initial set are nice and small, which is what I want, and it'll give me a chance to really produce some nice tight growth and get rid of this stuff that's too big. Yeah, so I think the sort of the middle top and the bottom are looking good. And this back section, I'm almost tempted. I'll show you here in a minute. Let me just prune this back to a few sets of leaves. But this tree, that back tree, you can see these 2 branches are like almost touching here. Clear it out a little bit, but I think probably going to have to do something more significant to sort of resolve that. Yeah, so this part here is still pretty thick, so I'm gonna cut it back. I can easily take this off, and really just take this right back as far as possible. But you can see that doesn't look bad. I mean, even in comparison to the top trunk, or the main tree. But I'm thinking about maybe I could cut that off, but you can also see this tree behind it is quite thick, and it has a branch right there. But let me just take care of some of this other stuff that I know I need to thin out, like this, and I'll just kind of let my brain mull over the options of dealing with this congested area right here. You can see where the trunks almost cross, so and the easy thing would be just to cut this one off on this tree I'm currently pruning. But I'm wondering if you see how the trunk that interferes with it crosses back there. So I'm wondering if I should, instead of cutting the tree to the right, take a limb off the one in the back, and that's kind of what I'm considering. But let me just thin other aspects of it out, and we'll see if that decision makes sense. I'll just kind of reduce the top like I did with the others, and we'll take a look at that branch in due time. So I'll just thin this out. Oh, look here, a bee has come to inspect my pruning quality. We'll just let him have a look, see what he thinks. I guess he was satisfied. We'll just thin this out. I think I can hear the ice cream truck, actually. Maybe the bee went off to get some ice cream. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just taking this down to 1 and 2 sets of leaves, just to see what we're dealing with. And obviously anything that's going the wrong way, like in towards the trunk or crossing the trunk or not to the outside, I will tend to just cut it off. And it really helps to just take that next step and just keep pruning, and before you know it, you're done. There's a downward facing leaf that wasn't very attractive, so I just took it off. Yeah, you can definitely see those 2 trunks making an X back there. Let me just thin this out some more. And I think the story of this tree has been really sort of taking this back to the pre-winter growth of when I put these together, and we'll just carry on from there. But the trunks put on more thickness, and the trees got established, and it's all progress. So I think we're making some real progress here. I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot more to cut off. I'm just taking a look at the tree, and you know, I can see this section right here is this X I'm talking about, and I was thinking just cutting that right there. And you know, over time I'll probably also have to do some pruning on this tree in the right, but I think I'll let that go for now. But I think this area right here is where I want to cut, and I think I've got some wire in the way here. But yeah, see, these two they're almost touching, and they're just gonna totally get enmeshed with each other. So I think I'm just gonna take this wire off here, and I will just cut this one back, because somehow that seems like the right decision for me. I'll cut it right there, and then kind of create a little space there for now, and then we'll see what happens and go from there. So there we go. And you know, that'll heal up. I'll just clean it up a bit, and I'll probably get a new lower branch coming there. But you can see now at least they're not crossing at the moment. And I don't know, it was bothering me. Now it's not. And I think I am happy with that. So I think as far as pruning, we are almost there. You know, I want to take a look, you know, just kind of let it settle a little bit, spin it around, see if anything pops out at my eye, and get rid of it. Kind of take that out of there, and you know, I think it looks quite good. You know, it's a dramatic improvement from where we started, where it was very difficult to see much of anything. It was very much like a jungle, and I think this actually looks pretty darn good. I'm very happy with how this was simplified, and I want to take the wire off. And these wire cutters are fabulous. Just take a look at these. It's kind of a cool design. If you don't have these, I definitely get a pair. And we'll just go and cut the wire off here, because we don't need it anymore, and it's kind of unsightly. And you know, a lot of people take the wire off and try to reuse it. I don't do that. I mean, I consider wire like brakes. You know, they're sort of like, they serve a great purpose and you use them, and you know, they're kind of disposable. I mean, I'll take off a piece of wire if I can, but I've just have damaged too many trees, like ripped leaves off I didn't want, broken trunks, you know, trying to finagle that wire off. And you know, it's kind of a good feeling just to snip it off with these wire cutters. And so that's my philosophy on it. And in either case, I think a nice set of wire cutters, if you use wire, are pretty essential to avoid harming your trees. So I'm just snipping all this wire off, try to get it right down, you know, to the ground, so I don't have to see it anymore. It served its purpose well. You can check out some of my other videos if you want. I basically use this wire kind of wired up from the bottom with a complex machination under the tree of just wire to, you know, allow me to kind of put a post in, sort of a virtual post for the tree. I can wrap the wire around the tree, and it holds the tree in place, and I can angle the tree and twist it. And especially when you're trying to do a forest with, you know, where there aren't any roots, like you really need something to hold those trunks in place, and I find wire to do really well for that. And I'm just pulling all this wire out. Probably missed a few bits here and there. That's a pretty common thing when you're dealing with this stuff. So next up, I want to get rid of all these rocks as well. They've also served their purpose. I mean, you could argue that I don't need both wire and rocks, but yeah, I kind of like rocks with new plantings. I think it works really well. And you know, who knows, maybe I will I may want some rocks in here at some point, but I don't think they're these rocks and not in this placement, so I'm just going to take them out. And as part of that, I'll have to get some soil here and fill in some of these holes. I kind of Sometimes I use rock almost like to form like a little pocket, you know, to sit the tree in, right, in a forest. I did a little bit of this here, you know, so it's more than just kind of laying on the top, holding it down. You just adjust the camera and get a better look at this. Yeah, so yeah, we don't need the rocks anymore. And now we will sort of do some backfilling. We certainly took a lot off of this tree today. In fact, let's take a look. I'll adjust the camera down here, and you can see all we cut off, which is just a huge amount. I mean, I don't know, probably over 90% gone. You know, luckily. Jades don't seem to mind that too much. I mean, aftercare for this will be, of course, you know, don't water it, because it has a lot less need for water now, because it hardly has any leaves as compared before. So you want to definitely make sure you don't overwater the tree. And, you know, I give it a few days, maybe 3-4 days in sort of bright indirect sunlight, and then, you know, right back into direct sun, because I think that is quite helpful for jades to get nice tight growth for sure. So I've got some soil here, and this is I'll eventually do a video on soil, but this is it's a commercially available bonsai soil that I use. You know, it has a nice red color and it's very kind of fine. I'm just going to smooth this out and get it ready to fill in some of these holes here. And I'll just put a whole layer of this all the way around, because I think it sort of just looks better, you know. It's sort of smaller. It looks fabulous when it's wet or even damp. And, you know, it's kind of smaller, so you don't see all this chunkiness. Here, I forgot some stuff here. And, you know, like I said, I'll do a video on some of these soils that I use, but I really like this one as, I guess you'd call it a top dressing. I mean, you know, it's actually not a bad soil. You know, it's mostly inorganic material. It has some super fine fur in there as well, but it's a lot of you know, clay, and it has kind of a nice red look to it, and it's small, which is what I kind of like most. And you know, it just does a pretty good job of covering up, you know, bonsai soil. Especially a lot of soils, they have a lot of you know, perlite or pumice in them that's white, and to me it's kind of distracting. It works with some of them, some plantings, but this kind of covers it up, and I think gives it a much more natural look. Look, I forgot a rock there, so get that one out of there. But yeah, I'll just continue scooping this out with my handy spoon and smoothing it around, and, you know, providing a nice top dressing all around the forest. So I'm just finishing up with the spoon here. Skipped ahead a little bit, and it looks great. Got a nice top layer and all of that. And you know, I think as we look at this, you know, you can sort of see where this will go. Just put a little bit more in there. You know, I'm going to wait for it to fill out again, and then we will have some new branching here and some new foliage here, and it'll be nice and much finer and directed and going in the direction we want. And we will just continue on growing this out and clip and grow, and over time it will just look nicer and nicer, and eventually we will have a fantastic looking forest. So it is time for the victory lap. So let's take a look at this, and I will talk about a parting thought as we are examining this tree on the way out. And that is, you know, pruning makes the tree grow, you know. If you spare the scissors, you may spoil the tree. You know, it really helps to get branching and ramification, and things get more compact, and it's really just essential to developing, you know, a convincing looking tree. And, you know, like I did here, I like to take it back to its simple abstract shape, and then kind of roll it forward and rinse and repeat, and over time you'll just get a fabulous looking tree. And that's a wrap for today, and I want to thank you for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon.